Justice League are in black. One.
I'll catch the city bus with a man who's made a stream. Find time to rid the world of all your precious sin. There lies the library man living in his paginated life. I'll find solitary in the pages in between. F-pause, broke machine, all these better.
Welcome back to Glasgow. Benji Reese here with you on the commentary. And it's semi-final time. Action between Justice League and Pick and Mix. If you're watching online or in the clubhouse and you want to get in contact with us, either come outside and tap me on the shoulder and shout abuse in my face, or alternatively shout abuse over the internet at Benjamin Reese on Twitter. Always lovely to hear from you. Going down to the business end of the tournament now. Teams going through their final preparations, some slightly more orthodox than others, I think we should say. But all in good spirits here at Glasgow. We saw Pick and Mix overcome one seed Bear to Bream earlier in the day. Now they've got a semi-final against Jusdisc League. Just getting ready to start. Team's making their final preparations. That ball is going to go out of the sideline in the end zone, and that's a nice way to start because it means I get to use my fancy graphics from the very off, and it's a brick. And it's a big brick as well. Going to march the disc to the brick mark. Make his final steps. Looking like they're going to start in a horizontal setup. And immediately bang it deep. Spicy stuff to start off with, and plucked out of the sky with the right hand. And Justice League are not really hanging about to start this game. Blink of an eye and already they're 1-0 to the good. A nice speedy start to this game for the boys and girls in black. After pretty horrendous weather yesterday and first thing this morning, the sun's out now. It's a rather nice afternoon here in Somerset in the southwest of England. And I'm almost not really used to it. There's a bit of wind in the air. Sort of wind that's not a huge problem, providing you take your time with these throws, make sure you're still getting the proper torque and revolution on everything. But it's one of the things where if you're a bit lackadaisical, it can cause a couple of issues. Ball goes up from JDL. A big arcing backhand in towards the end zone. Caught comfortably with two hands. Takes the backhand off towards the sideline. Gonna shoot a forehand deep, aiming for the far side. Oh, Vid gets roasted deep towards that back corner. And Pick and Mix looking to open up the deep game early on as well. 2 possessions, 2 points, and about 4 passes across both points put together. 1-1 already, and these teams are not in any mood to hang about this afternoon. I'm in favour of that. As old saying, a quick game's a good game, and looks like we're going to have a quick game here. But did what they want, find a matchup they liked. Much faster across the ground than his opponent, and just turned on the Jets and left his mark in the dust. Seeing the replay of it there. Throwing the disc away in celebration. Ball fielded by Jusdisc. Going to do a little bit of handler movement to start things off. Just advance it just a little bit. Oh, an underpass. That's unusual. I haven't seen many of them. And another one. Don't know what's going on here. Take the reset with the lefty. Faking around. Trying to find an option. Going to try and shoot the blade. D is underthrown and it's not have the reaction time required to recover the ground. And it would have been a tough catch to make. So first turnover of the game. Fakes the underpass. I think that could have gone. Going to take the reset instead. Stops the break going. Poaching on this open side handler. Nice IO into the middle of the field. Just dishing it off. Ooh, look for a second like it might be a bit too far. Going to lash a backhand down that far sideline. Beaten deep again. Nicely towed in. Oh, creative throw. Off balance. Altering the release point. It's where you practice throwing from these awkward and unusual angles because you never know when your platform's going to be a little bit off centre and you need to squeeze things in there, and nicely done there. And pick and mix, march it the full length of the field for the break and a 2-1 lead over the Jusdisc League. Pick and mix looking good early here. So we're in a substantial lead to Bear to Bream in their first game, which they were able to overcome. This time they're coming out hot. Ball goes out from Pick and Mix. A little bit of a hustle to make sure, get out of the way of the disc. Don't want to give a cheap drop pull away. Nice underneath, inside out to the middle of the field. Dishing it off to the handler. Fakes the backhand. Low IO. Again, utilising that channel well, looking towards the end zone. Takes the dish off instead. Looking around for an option. Takes the handler swing. Fakes the upline cut. Looking back into the middle of the field now. Faking again. Squeezing the IO, and they had a lot of love down that IO channel this point, and they use it once more after getting the deep go working on the first point. And that time showing that they can grind the disc underneath as well. Tying us up at 2-all, and still just the one turnover these first few points. It's nice seeing these teams start fast. A couple of teams have come out sloppy, which is not necessarily unexpected on the Sunday morning of Glastonbury, let's be honest, but doing a pretty good job so far this game. Nice defensive bid as well. Not quite there in time, but not a bad effort. I see the legendary Glastonbury Tour in the background there. Popular tourist spot this weekend, obviously. Weekend of the autumn equinox. Pick and Mix ready to receive the pull. Blading towards that far sideline, comes back in towards the middle of the pitch. Not fielded particularly cleanly. Jusdisc League will have good field position here. Right on the front of the end zone. Gets the swing off. Couple of handlers there, but don't clutter each other up. Still in the end zone. Seen a Callahan already on the stream today. Take a nice underpass there, but looks like there's going to be a pick called in the stack. Just will go back. Goes for that high release rolling flick. Oh, overthrows the first receiver. Tipped out of the sideline. Don't know if they would have got it anyway, but always good to just make sure. Bring the disc in on the sideline. Goes for a low around backhand in towards the end zone. Receiver was never quite able to catch up with it. There was definitely a window there, but the throw had a little too much gas on it. Nice low backhand. Getting him off the line. A little bit of a lefty now. Just keeping things slightly creative. Fakes the lefty there. Oh! Point blocks and he's caught it. Gets into the end zone, and the conservation of greatness pays dividends. Did such a good job getting the point block and then catching it as well, making sure that it wasn't going to get a second shot at it. Well, then just a simple throwaway in the end zone, and now Pick and Mix are looking deep. Nice coverage. Oh, that's a sick grab. Not quite in the end zone just yet. Posterized the defender, and he's going to dish it off for the Pick and Mix goal on a 3-2 lead. It's the first point of the game where we've seen more than one turn, and Pick and Mix did a good job of earning it back on that throwaway. Winners in the end zone are very tight, and so it's really easy to rush throws as they did there, and Pick and Mix just a little bit calmer in the red zone, and it pays dividends as they retake the lead at 3-2. So Pick and Mix, one break up in the early goings of this game. Still plenty of time left. Ball goes up, he's going to tail out that far sideline, and the Jusdisc League will bring it in from the brick mark. Good job we made that brick graphic. It's certainly come in handy today. So the disc is in. Getting it underneath. This is a little visitor to one of our camera lenses. Obviously we welcome audience interaction, but maybe not quite like that. Sideline calling for the reset. Disc does go into the middle, gets it back, thinks about the dish in. Maybe doing something creative. Oh, lovely little lefty into the end zone. Those throws can be really easy to turn over, but actually did a good job with that one. So tied up again at threes. Just getting ready to pull, obviously trying to earn the break back. That pull's low. It's going to skim across the turf, pick up a bit of moisture on the way. Ground's drying out now, but there is still some droplets of rain on there from earlier. Trying to force the disc underneath, trying to get them to grind it out downfield. Disc on this near sideline now. It's going to put the hammer over the top towards the back of the end zone, right on the money. Nicely done from Pick and Mix. Looking pretty pleased with themselves. They've delved into their bag of sweets and they've pulled out all sorts so far. That time it's the hammer that gets the job done. Storing their lead 4-3 to the good at the moment. So now the Bulls in Jusdisc League's course, needing to march up the field on offense and tie the game back up. It's really handy getting an early break on, just gives you psychological advantage in the game, knowing that your opponent's always on the back foot. Paul's going to arc back inbounds, dished off into the centre. There's a continuation pass, plucked up with one hand. They're going to rifle it deep. This is going to be a big shot on the spot at the back of the end zone. I thought for a minute it was going to go too far, but it slowed up nicely in the end. Perfectly weighted trajectory on that disc, and Jusdisc League get loud as they tie the game again at 4s. Trying to keep their team spirits high. See level in this game, but a breakdown. Haven't really done a huge amount to pressure the pick and mix offense, so they need to maybe make some defensive changes, throw a bit of something different at them, see how that affects things. Sideline trying to get involved, keep themselves warm, keep their teammates on the pitch pumped up. Ball goes deep towards the far side of the end zone. There's no quick, easy continuation. They're going to take it underneath. Looking downfield. Takes a couple of seconds, but the cut does develop. Fakes. A little lofty on that dump pass, but it's caught without a problem. Nice separation, bodying out on that underneath cut. Trying to stop the disc going back in towards the centre, forcing it. Trying to trap it down this sideline. Sideline calling run for no breaks, just about sneak the reset through. Continuation is low, bid, can't save it. Was a nice effort, but couldn't quite pull off the heroics necessary. Now the Jusdisc League have a chance to get this game back on serve. Nice inside out shot. Continuation into the end zone is perfection. And the Jusdisc League earn their break back. Retake the lead for the first time since the start of this game at 5-4. And the sideline are pretty happy with that, as well they should be. Sun peeks behind the clouds for a little bit. Yeah, it's a lovely day when the sun's out, but when it hides away, there's that chill in the air that comes back out. Coats get donned on the sidelines. And I mentioned it in the games earlier, but I haven't brought it up since the break. On our sideline, we've got Will Foster and his lovely car doing an excellent job on the camera works and helping us out with the bells and whistles, but we may have accidentally run the battery down earlier, as you can. So if anyone does have some jump links they can lend us, that would be much appreciated. Pigamics trying to re-jump start their offense after getting broken on the previous point. Centering pass, looking for the continuation, fakes the low backhand around. Versus towards that sideline. Popped up a little bit, not a problem. Now working it around the centre. Offense much predicated on handler movement over the top of the first receiver, but there's backup that's going to bring it in. Going to shoot the flick to the end zone. Defender gets there and he knocks it away at the second attempt. Receiver had position but stumbled and couldn't bring it in, and defender was obviously pleased to see that. It's beaten by the first shot, went around him, but did a very good job of recovering afterwards. This is going to be marched to the front of the end zone for the chance for Jusdisc League to take their margin to 2 points, which should be the largest lead of the game for either side so far. Fakes the underneath. Tries to squeeze the IO through, and and his both hands around it and somehow squirmed through his grasp. So pick and mix, pick up. Trying to free cutters in the end zone. Or somehow squeezing it between two defenders and popped off with the backhand into the end zone to bring things back on serve. He couldn't get it done first time around, but they were gifted a red zone turnover and dutifully punched in to tie us back up at 5 apiece. Again, neither side really able to open up much room. Every time it feels like there could be a run coming, the other team wrestles momentum back, and that's why I'm not necessarily a huge believer in momentum as a thing. It feels a very reflective idea. You can point to players and saying that was a big momentum change, but how often do you feel it happen in a game and then all of a sudden, actually, another team just wrestles it back instantly? You can't just assume that you're going to ride that wave. You've got to really fight for everything. Ball goes up to Jusdisc League. To leave you on commentary for a brief second there. Ball from Jusdisc League went very, very close to the sideline. There's a little bit of discussion whether or not it was able to go inbounds. The disc tailed off towards the sideline much more than was required. Obviously conscious about getting it towards this break side away from the defenders, but the question is whether or not it was too much on it. So in the end, they're going to call it a turnover, come to a decision. And now Pickermix have a chance to retake the lead that they lost a couple of points ago. And they're going to have to wait a couple of seconds to do that. Pick in the stack. Both will resolve themselves in such a way so that the pick should not reoccur. This time there's another stoppage, but for a violation. It's the player moving before the disc checked back in, probably. Fakes the underneath, takes us on at a second attempt. Cutter comes up the line towards this sideline, takes the reset off, bit far behind, Cutter slips. Jusdisc League player tries to hurdle the defender. Goes for the sneaky little jump and gets over the top of them and goes into the end zone for the goal. So Pickermix can't take advantage, give the disc back in short order, and Jusdisc League probably punch it in. Retake the lead at 6-5. Sees the opportunity, sees the defender in the way, just goes for a little hop over the defender. Ball goes up and it's going to tail off out this near sideline. It's time to bring up that brick graphic again. Pickermix trying to tie the game up at 6s. Going to try and do it all in one with a deep shot, but it's underthrown. Jusdisc League defenders gobble it up. Things about the swing is good coverage. Looking for an option. The swing does uncover, but the throw's a little bit off target, and so Pick and Mix will get the disc back. Trying to free a cutter in the reset space. Gets the around break off. Oh, kind of falls over and catches it on the ground anyway. I love that focus and that concentration. Fakes a high release. Dishes the disc back, gets it again in the middle of the field. Fakes the around with that shoulder pump. Dishes the disc towards the open side. A little touch throw into space. Lets the receiver run onto it. Taking the reset. Doesn't he change the angle of attack between the handlers? Disc in the middle of the field now. Pick called. He's going to resolve their positions. Possession will stay with Pick and Mix, however. Trying to isolate the dump, he can't get free. This is excellent dump coverage. Throw goes over the head, and good change of direction on the dump defense. The throw to defender being face marked should really go beyond and have a bit of float on it. So having the position, you can just box out, but didn't get enough under it, and so Jusdisc can break for half time. Oh, little fumble, catches it anyway. Coming underneath, continuation towards the sideline. You see whether they continue to attack down the side. Instead, reversing it back towards the centre of the field a little bit. Going to try and get the disc up the line. Oh, that's a big overthrow in the end. Would have needed to become a member of the Jusdisc League and take flight like Superman to bring that one in. And even then, it would have been difficult to bring it back in bounds. It's way too much juice on that shot. Pick and Mix shooting deep, but once more, disc defended in coverage. Two Jusdisc League defenders there in the end. Cut comes underneath. Thinks about jamming it up the line. Will do it on the second attempt. It's going to be too far for the first cutter, and the second one's not going to get there in time before the sideline comes in. Just deciding exactly whereabouts the disc went out of bounds. Pick and Mix, bring the disc in. Positioned slightly further back. But don't mind losing those yards in order to keep the disc in their possession. Well, that throw pops up. And it pops over a second receiver as well. Jusdisc League defense mops it up. They've really forced Pick and Mix to turn the disc over, but they haven't been able to capitalize on it so far at this point. It's a nice underneath. Thinks about the dish off. Just a drop. It's going to give the disc back to Pick and Mix. Neither side seems massively willing to really assert dominance in this game. Taking the swing. Nice underneath there. Cutter comes, they're going to try and gain some yards with this. Defenders there. Oh, caught the disc, and there was definitely a bit of contact there. Maybe a foul call. They're going to have a little discussion about whether this is probably, I think an offensive foul is probably the call here. A couple of people handling the willing to share their point of view if called upon. This is going to stay in Pick and Mix possession. That's a really low break, and that's why you practice getting wide and low on the disc, so you can really break those tough marks. A nice continuation into the end zone is going to tie us back up. Easily the longest point of the game. Numerous turns from both sides. In the end, it's pick and mix who punch it in to take the score to 6-all. And we've got everyone's favourite scenario. Galaxy point, baby. Sudden death to take half. 6-all, half at 7. And this is the way this game's gone. We're probably in for another exciting point in store. Pick and mix will be trying to get the old 2-for-none opportunity. Get the turnover, and if you can punch in the break before half-time and you receive the disc coming out of it, you have a chance to get 2 scores on the trot without ever giving your opponent the disc. But obviously that's easier said than done. It's a low ball from pick and mix. Jusdisc League offense is going to go to work. Find the underneath pass. Continuation towards the sideline. High release, a little bit floaty, but caught without a problem. Going to put a touch throw out into space. Oh, that's a lovely execution on that throw. Lovely stuff from Jusdisc League. And they're going to take a 7-6 half-time lead here. See it on the replay. The throw and go. Gets it back up the line. And at this point, they're pretty much level, but just a quick turn of head from the receiver, knows that that throw is going to go, and the defender doesn't get a call that it's going early enough. And the throw is expertly weighted. So that's going to give Jusdisc League a 7-6 half-time lead. Welcome back to our coverage of Glastonbury Tournament 2018 here in Somerset in the south or west of England. Benjamin Rees here with you live at the Tor Leisure Centre for the semi-final between Jusdisc League and Pick and Mix. Jusdisc League currently 7-6 to the good. Those scores just the wrong way around. I know Death had a little bit of a moment on camera there, but if you could just switch the score the other way around, that would be much appreciated. Yeah, I'm going to name and shame you. Do what I want. You can't stop me. I'm so powerful. Anyone else who wants to bow down to my power can do so on Twitter at Benjamin Rees. Always good to hear from you. And also to shame Des as well. That's an excellent place to do that too. So we're going to begin this second half. Pick and Mix receiving to begin. So we're going to all on serve in this game so far. In what's been already an exhilarating Sunday of Ultimate here at the Glastonbury Tournament. And the ball goes up from Jusdisc League and the second half is underway. It's a very solid pull as well. Land inbounds and roll out the back of the end zone, so it gives Jusdisc League a chance to set up. They bring the disc into the front of the end zone line. Disc wasn't touched before it rolled out of bounds. Need to get an underneath cut. Oh, pressure just pops out of the hands. Smacked down. to the ground. Going to make sure we can get a shot at it, and this is great. Great field position, right on the red zone. Thinking about a blade, backhand forth. Going to try and scram it down the sideline. Couldn't quite bring it in. He might have to take an injury sub as well. He seems to be okay, coming back onto the field, which is good to see. Cutter was there, but the throw was too hard and too far. The job was with a little less Tabasco on it, in all honesty. So it's going to pop up, just about finds the window, thinks about the deep shot with a force out of position, can take a lofty swing all the way to this near sideline. Thinks about the deep, pump faking, trying to get that force to move. Cutter comes underneath a pick and mix. Faking, pivoting around. Oh, throws behind the receiver. Puts it deep instantly. He's going to have a hell of a chase to get this one. And fortunately, he's not the flash and can't chase it down. Could have just done with a little bit more patience on that one. So a couple of points from, a couple of turns from both sides to start the second half. Pick and mix. Have a couple of throwing and catching errors early, whereas Jusdisc League just guilty of rushing things a little bit. That's a nice comfortable catch. Going to put it deep, the throw's going to blade. Oh, there's a pick called, but I think that'll be retracted because the disc was just a touch too short. Turnover will stand, and they're going to call the instant timeout, which is not massively exciting in all honesty, but I guess they're really keen to punch in a break to start the second half and open up the first 2-point lead of the game. Both sides come on the field into their huddles. With the man of the hour, tournament director Ed Shardlow, striding back towards the clubhouse. Here's the real dream team. Your main man Benji Rizzle in the hizzle. Delighted to be here at Glastonbury. It's a lovely day now after the horrible weather we had this morning. And if you want to hear more of that kind of nonsense from me in 280 characters or less, you can always find me on Twitter. I am at Benjamin Rees. (7-6) to Jusdisc League, the current score. The first is still the first point in the second half. Both sides had a few turnovers, and Jusdisc League taking the timeout, try and draw up some offensive plays, get a break and open up the first 2-point lead of the game, although obviously we're all familiar by now with the curse of the turnout, so we'll see what happens here. It'll bring it in. Wonder what turnover he has in mind. I mean, throw he has in mind. Faking a swing, thinking about a deep shot. He's going to wind it up, and I do not know what was going on there. I think just got on a high stool, just thought he'd take the punt and take the yardage, which is not necessarily uncharacteristic for him. And it's not necessarily a bad option if you can't find a pass underneath. It's much better to turn over down the other end of the field than by your own end zone. But the curse of the turnout strikes again. They had a play drawn up, and when it was well covered, they didn't get their offense back into motion in a normal fashion early enough. And that's the problem with timeouts, is that it's much easier to get free and generate that movement when the disc's already moving and defenders are in a slightly out of position. Obviously, with the dead disc and the defense can set up, it can be difficult. maelstrom of defenders and receivers under that one. It's going to get knocked to the ground, so Jusdisc League will get the turn back anyway. Probably do with being a bit more conservative this time around. There's no dump at the moment. Do have a player come back. Well defended. Ah, cheeky little throw to get that off the line to the center of the pitch. I like that one. Lovely low release. Faking the mark out. Really bit on that one. Lost his balance on the slightly slick turf. Goes for the up line throw. Couldn't quite be rescued. And then just a couple of throwing errors for both sides creeping into the game now after this game started so cleanly. Sideline's not necessarily happy with the way that's going. Picked off in coverage underneath though. They're right on the doorstep of the end zone. Can they punch it in? Goes with a flick and we have a break in the first 2-point lead of the game. Goes the Jusdisc League way. So interesting to see how Pick and Mix respond to that. Time beginning to tick away in this game. So Pick and Mix trying to score their first point in the second half. That throws low behind the receiver. So this Pick and Mix either looks so fluid and assured in the first half. It's deserted them a little bit in the second stanza. But they're going to turn it back pretty much immediately and give away some field position in the process. Pick and Mix look to strike quickly. Going to dish it off though, and play a bit more calmly. As I say that, they're going to blaze the hammer deep. Oh, went for the one-handed catch. Tried to scoop it back towards his body with the right hand. Probably would have been going better off going for the little baby shark style clap catch. Oh, just about squeezes that one. Caught in tight coverage from two Pick and Mix defenders. No one back in the handler spot. Low throw, hits the turf, and both sides are looking a little bit sloppy now, it has to be said. Looking at options. Doesn't want to take the dump, and we're going to have a little stoppage here for a pick. Going to shoot into the end zone. Right-handed catch is going to be just shy on the precipice. Can they somehow sneak and smuggle it in? Goes with a low backhand towards the back corner and can't find the receiver. So Jusdisc League do get the turn back. That throw is going to sail a little bit. Defender clears in, and first one missed it with that swipe, but there was another defender right in position. Again, they're similar position to where the disc was the last possession, where they had that turnover. Shoots it over the top. That's a creative way of getting it done, but getting it done it does, and that's all that matters. And Pick and Mix scored their first point in the second half, reducing the deficit, but they're still one behind 8-7. About 5 minutes left of this game before the cap comes on. It's a 1-point cap this weekend. Seeing, surveying the field, looking for options, not really liking what she sees. Goes with that high release backhand, just trying to find a way to get it over the defenders, and does a very good job of picking out a target at the back of the end zone. Slightly unorthodox throw, but it worked like a charm. Still going to need a couple of breaks though to turn the tide in their favour. Ball goes up from pick and mix. Jusdisc going to field it on the hop. Gain some free yards before the defense can get set. And take the underneath and lash it deep. Or is it going to slow up enough? Not quite, just kept on going out of the back of the end zone. Hit the turf pretty much at the end zone line and didn't have enough speed to catch up with it. Got run over at the end as well, thankfully still intact. Already lost one pitch for a little bit today. Looking for a swing. Finds a cut underneath. Pick and mix moving the disc nicely this possession. Trying to isolate a dump. Defender gets sucked too far into the backfield. Receiver has it in a power position, but there's no one timing that deep cut. Goes for the hammer. Oh, big block and caught anyway. Got away with that one to Jusdisc and did pick and mix and a nice toe in at the end. That's heartbreaking stuff. Did exactly the right thing. Saw what he wanted, read the play, got a huge block on it. You can hear it all the way over at this sideline, but just somehow not quite big enough. See it on the replay. Just picks it out of hands, clearly up first, but excellent job by the pick and mix receiver of saving his teammate's bacon, and nice toe in at the end there as well. So we're tied back up after that pick and mix break. 8-all as we go into the final knockings of this game. And neither side really looks like they want to assert their dominance here. Ball's going to land just about out of bounds. You can see the handler put his hand in the air, signals that he's going to take the disc from the brick mark to begin this point. See him striding the disc up. Disc coming into play. Cutter comes underneath. Takes a wide open cutter. Looking for it deep. Oh, overthrown slightly. Oh, disc got a hand on it. Fluttered up in the air but couldn't rescue it. No heroics that time. And there's the hooter, so we'll finish this point. It'll be 9-8, game to 10, regardless of who scores. This goes up in the air, it's going to sit and float and just tail off out of this sideline. No one had a shot at that. Somebody helpful on the sideline. Speed things up, but it's throwing the disc towards the pitch. Disc checked in. Doesn't like that first underneath cut. Takes the second for a slightly larger yardage gain. Sent into the middle. Just beyond halfway now. Oh, throws behind. Acrobatic bid, couldn't get a hand on it though. Takes the open swing. On the sideline now. Force trying to get big, trap them in this position. He's going to recycle it back towards the centre of the pitch. Finally stop that break side continuation. Force does a good job of sagging off, clogging that gap. Tight window, going to shoot deep, looking for the end zone. Oh, great catch from the pick and mix receiver. I thought the disc was going to die, but he was somehow able to get his hand underneath and save it from the turf. And after getting broken to start the second half, pick and mix have now got 3 in a bounce. Taking a 9-8 lead, game to 10. So Jusdisc going to have to convert their offense here and then punch in a break if they're going to bring it back. And the way this game's gone, it would not surprise me if it goes all the way to sudden death. It's the first 3-point run of the game for either side. Pick and mix getting ready to pull. We're hoping to finish things off with a break here. Just brought in from the sideline. Underneath Kurt's knocked away and core. This is what you've got to catch your D's, folks. Now the disc goes deep. This is spicy. Can the receiver get their defenders all over it, though? Took the best line towards the disc and snapped it up. Into the centre of the pitch. That's a nice leading throw to space. Cutter takes off deep from a quite shallow position. Swing is turfed. Looking for a quick one into the end zone. Picking it up. Cutter goes to the break side. Can he make the catch? Oh, it's just a touch too far. Would be disappointed with himself, though, not to reel that one in. But that should have been a score, really. Nice boxing out on that underneath cut. Deep shot goes. It's going to blade. Going to give a chance to the defender a close chance to close in. Going to dish it off for the goal and the pick and mix win. And they're going on to the Glastonbury final. And that red zone turn from Jusdisc proves costly. They strike deep immediately. Good backup as well from the other receiver, following it in for the pop and the 10-8 win. Jusdisc look devastated, as well they would be, but all credit goes to pick and mix. They found themselves in a really tough hole, 8-6 down after Jusdisc broke to start the second half. You see it again, excellent deep reception and staying calm and collected and dishing it off for the goal. So pick and mix are going to run out winners, 4 on the bounce to close the game. 10-6, 10-8 winners over Jusdisc. Do stay tuned, we've got a couple more games still for you on the stream. We've got the plate final coming up next. And the final coming up after that at 4 o'clock. Thanks for watching.
Alti.tv